Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
I have to admit, James, this week doesn't really revolve around Fantasy Premier League.
Okay, what does it revolve around?
Well,
we did an hour on Tottenham and West Ham yesterday. Don't keep going.
This is it. Yeah, we're not going to recap everything that we covered on Tottenham yesterday. For anybody that isn't a patron and doesn't know about our patron, we do shows on there as well. One of them called Tottenham, where we probably moan most of the time about how bad our clubs are. This week, this game week specifically, I didn't make any transfers. And after West Ham's really bad performance I say really bad, disappointing result on Tuesday, I did struggle to care about what my FPL team did on the Wednesday, which is obviously when the majority of our fixtures are. I did check my team at the end of Wednesday, knowing that I had the 3 Arsenal to go. I was on a big red arrow and actually didn't care because I was still more annoyed by what happened on Tuesday. So real life football has superseded this week, specifically whatever happens in fantasy. But based on the fact that what happened with West Ham, I think I need fantasy to have any sort of level of joy about. What about for you? You had to endure trains and going down to Bournemouth.
Yeah, we'll get there. What did you finish on this week?
Great question. I just took it off my screen. 46 points, 7.1 million game week rank. I have now dropped outside the top million. I'm 1.113 million. Really struggling to care. I kept Bowen. I wanted to sell him. I wanted to sell him for Thiago as a bit of a exaggeration, but I did think about selling him for Thiago, but left it at that. Didn't. It wasn't. I still, up until Tuesday, maybe had a little bit of faith in West Ham. No returns, James. The double Arsenal defence. Who cares? Everyone's got it. Maxence Lacroix finally picked me up a clean sheet and a DEFCON, which we've been waiting for weeks and weeks for. And captain Erling Haaland with the single goal and no bonus or anything else. Everybody else blanked. Sanchez, O'Reilly, Rice, Xhaka, Cunha, Foden, Bowen, blankety blank.
57 for me with a couple of key differences. Bruno Guimaraes, 11-pointer. God, he does bits in home games, doesn't he? And Igor Thiago, who I certainly wasn't expecting more from following the hat-trick at Everton, and I don't think you should regret the decision not to buy him. For those who've just seen him score 5 goals in a week, yay, the fixtures are pretty rough moving forward, and I think you were in the right place, Suj, where if you'd been taking him on, I think it was right to continue to take him on. That said, when you look at his data from the other night, my goodness, he could have had more.
I mean, the XG was through the roof for Brentford in that game.
Well, he's had an XG of over 3 across the last 2 game weeks. So, I mean, he scored 5, so he's outperformed that. But that is, over a 2 game week period. That's absolutely monster. I saw someone say, I think it was Gary Robinson actually, he'd said, I think Thiago's got more points than Haaland since game week 8 or something.
Really?
Wow, what? Really? But sitting here this time last week, people were like, hey, shit, he's rubbish. He's a crap footballer. Rare. I don't think you did wrong to continue to take him on. And I think you should still do so. They're bottom my ticker over the next 5.
Yeah, I get that. But they're also 5th in the league, James. So let's not...
I hear that. But over those 5, they've got Chelsea away, Villa away, Newcastle away, and also Arsenal at home.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Chase it now?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I have not ruled out wildcarding. I don't know if I want to, but if I was on wildcard, I would be making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 changes to my team right now. And I'd be really moving away from some riskier picks to some set and forget picks and then be doing not very little at all. So players that would go, if I was on wildcard, James, Lacroix would go, O'Reilly would go defensively, and I'd get Chalobah and Chow. That would leave me double Arsenal, double Chelsea, Chow and Alderete in defence. I'd get rid of Cunha, Foden and Potts from my midfield. I'd get Bruno Guimaraes, Bruno Fernandes and Enzo Fernandez So Bruno, Fernandes. Will go alongside Declan Rice and Granit Xhaka in midfield. I'd sell Jared Bowen. I'd sell Ekitike. I'd get Thiago and Kroupi Jr. And I feel like that's the most set and forget as just consistent players that is going. And it seems very boring because then I wouldn't want to make any transfers to my team and I'll just shuffle around what I've got. But that's kind of what I want to do.
And your short-term gain might become longer-term pain.
Yeah, because there'll be fixture swings and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to wildcard because there's a whole set of FA Cup fixtures to go. I haven't bought Thiago as much as I wanted to sell Jared Bowen on Tuesday night because he could have got injured on Wednesday. He didn't. He got 2 goals. He could get injured in the FA Cup if he plays. So I'm not going to... He won't play, you reckon? I'm not going to rush it, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. Small green for me in the end. So Thiago, Bruno Guimaraes, the double Arsenal clean sheet defence. I benched Harry Wilson. I played Nico O'Reilly instead. Obviously, he didn't start for Manchester City. I don't have huge regrets on that decision because I came to the conclusion with the 2 centre-back injuries that he probably would play. And maybe if Mark Cucurella doesn't get sent off, maybe those returns don't come for Harry Wilson. I certainly wasn't expecting someone I'd never heard of to play for Manchester City, and that's my own fault for probably not keeping in touch with the Championship as much. But we had Max Alain, who I'd never heard of, come in, play centre back, moved Aki to left back. He's been priced up at 4.5. He's been on loan at Watford. He actually hit DEFCON. His data from the weekend for the midweek game against Brighton suggests he actually played really well. So you might see more of him, not just anyone goes and dives there. 2 free transfers. I probably have in mind Cunha to Enzo Fernandez in 6 or 7 days. Is probably the plan. Want to get through, obviously, the 2 Chelsea Cup games, have an assessment of Liam Rosenior's, I could say first 2 games, but I imagine it will be a rotated team at Charlton Saturday. Then you probably get close to the full strength team against Arsenal in the League Cup semi-final. So make a judgment after that. But yeah, Enzo Fernandez from Cunha is probably where I want to go. I've got a strategic idea at the moment. I did a piece for Advanced Tier Patrons yesterday. Kind of a strategic idea at the moment to, where possible, only make transfers in even game weeks. I think most of the attack points are in even game weeks. So I think Chelsea now in 22, Chelsea again in 24. I think Manchester United in 24, Crystal Palace maybe in 26. Exit from Chelsea is 28. That's how it feels to me at the moment. So odd game weeks, the intention is to roll where possible, use transfers in the even weeks. And obviously, it's an important week in terms of information. If you can avoid making early moves, I would do so. We would do a chip strategy podcast next Thursday after the Carabao Cup semi-finals, outlining what the outlook is for the remainder of this season. So that is coming next Thursday.
Good. And what's coming the rest of this week? Oh, sorry.
It's Friday, boss. I know it feels like Monday, but it's Friday. I can tell you next week's schedule.
Yeah, if you can. Why not?
So Alex Trembath is coming on the podcast on Monday to do the fan view on Manchester United. Might have a little bit more information on them in terms of who's managing the team for the rest of the season. We've obviously just released a podcast with Gary Mantle that I highly recommend on Chelsea that went out on Wednesday as well. It's a good podcast, that. Tuesday's clash of correspondence is Wolves versus Newcastle United with Bradley Parker. Wolves are on the march, Suj. They're coming for you. And Newcastle have, I think, had 3 wins in a row and got themselves up to 6th, but are never particularly trustworthy on the road. Next Wednesday will be Ask James. As said on Thursday, Chip Strategy Podcast, Weekender returns next Friday. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Plenty happening on there. I've got an Ask James stream from Basic Tier Plus and above today at 4 p.m. UK time. Q&A Monday. Got a quiz with James Johnson next Tuesday. Tottenham, if Suj hasn't phoned the towel in completely, next Wednesday. Money in Football Thursday. And our Game Week 22 preview podcast, The Differential Show, next Friday. www.patreon.com/planetfpl.
listen, if the players are throwing in the towel, I may as well do exactly the same. We'll get to those useless gits in a second. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to the show. You'll get notified as soon as stuff goes live. Yes, the fan view with Gary was very entertaining. Not as entertaining as Nico's, did that show with Nico yesterday. For anybody that isn't on YouTube or doesn't listen to all of the shows that we put out, because we do put out one every day. You've got to give that man a shout out as well, and go and have a listen. It's lighthearted, it's entertaining, it's a fun hour of your life. You won't regret it, so definitely give that a listen as well. Cool.
Let's do the games. Let's get the West Ham Tottenham bit over and done with, and then we can move on with our lives.
Both the first two games. West Ham 1, Nottingham Forest 2. As expected. First half, West Ham decent. The new signing, Tati Castellanos, comes straight into the team. We believe Callum Wilson's Callum Wilson's contract's been torn up now. Do we agree? He's still listed in FPL, but I'm not sure if that's officially been announced that he's left.
If he hasn't officially left the club, then he will be, won't he?
Yeah, exactly. Then he'll be red flagged. But other than that, yeah, I have no interest in West Ham players anymore, despite two of them sitting in my team. One being Potts, who lost his place. I do think that's a little bit down to amount of football he's played and maybe just a bit of rotation. I can see him coming back into the team if anybody's sitting there thinking, well, my 4.4 million midfielder is not playing anymore. But I will be getting rid of him at my first available opportunity. I'll be getting rid of Jared Bowen at my first available opportunity. I'm not going to be buying anyone from Nottingham Forest. Though Ola Aina back now, second game. He was a good asset last year, so I'm not sure if anyone will have any eyes on Ola Aina if he can gather some momentum. But yeah, two rubbish teams. Forest just had more fight in the second half. West Ham are getting relegated. The gap's too big. I don't know. What else
you said it showed more fight. Did it just have the rub of the decisions? I'm not even saying any of the decisions are wrong, but they went Forest's way, right, ultimately?
Yeah, they did. And the debate is a lot around VAR and the decisions that were made. The problem is that when you start saying, well, it was all down to the ref, you're losing sight of the fact that there's bigger problems than just the referees, right? It's not, West Ham didn't lose that game just because the couple of refereeing decisions went the other way. We could have done more to win the game. West Ham are their own worst enemies. Like they said it in the commentary, 15 points dropped from winning positions. That's more than any other team in the league. We keep stabbing ourselves in the eyeballs, James. We keep, shooting ourselves in the foot, whatever analogy you want to use. It's our own fault. Yes, okay, it could have gone another way. But is that the case every week? You go 12 games without losing every week because the rub of the decisions goes the wrong way? No. I don't think a West Ham fan should be sitting there blaming refereeing decisions or anything like that, or the fact that they lost. But as we discussed yesterday, obviously if the Somerville goal counts and you're 2-0 up, you probably go and win. To have the mental blow of that and then Dominguez equalising from almost a kind of a nothing flick on header from a corner that loops in at the back post because Cole Walker-Peters is about the same height as me. Like, mentally it just changed, right? Then you couldn't bring yourself back into it from there and dominate. It wasn't a huge shot from there really that Forest went on and won the game. I mean, the penalty decision is probably correct, although it's not the Stonewaller that was being talked about on commentary. I think a different circumstance and a different time, it doesn't get given. Ultimately, you've had these 4 really important games. We said you kind of need to make up ground over this period and you've gone backwards. It's 1 point from the 4 games. It does look rough. You're as close to Wolves as you are to Nottingham Forest. Forest have some fixtures coming up after the game against Arsenal in game week 22. And by the way, they'll still fancy it because it's at the City ground and it'll be a nothing to lose game for them. Some fixtures afterwards, Brentford, Palace, Leeds, Wolves, where they'll hope they can get some more before it then gets a bit tougher for them. Afterwards, Liverpool, Brighton, Man City follows that for them. You've got Dr. Tottenham next though, mate. Listen. And Tottenham have just given Bournemouth their first victory in about 11. You haven't won in 9, I don't think. We've got Burnley the week after. They haven't won in about 12. We could take Dr. Tottenham to a whole new level here in the next couple of weeks. You could. I don't believe you will. I think you will beat us because you can score goals and we can't. But I can see the narrative there. I totally get it, but I don't see it happening. We're that bad, James. We really are.
Well, I think the biggest concern for you playing against my team, assuming following we think some behind the scenes meeting yesterday that Thomas Frank's going to stay as Tottenham manager at the moment, is you defending set pieces against us. We discussed this before we played each other early in the season, though. I used to shit myself playing against you when he'd have these units and these giants, these Dawsons and Zumas coming up, thinking, I don't want to give corners and that away against West Ham. Now it's like it's completely flipped on his head. You defending set pieces against us in that fixture is going to be rough. But would I move, in your case, if you've got Bowen, am I moving Bowen to Thiago when Bowen goes to Tottenham and Thiago goes to Chelsea? Like, it doesn't make sense, Suj.
Yeah, but maybe for my own mental health, it does make sense.
If that's how you feel, then fine, do it. And if it's what you really want to do it. But I know that if I was sitting in that position, I wouldn't do it. And if I'd have been sitting in your position with Bowen ahead of Nottingham Forest at home, I wouldn't have been selling him.
The only thing against you guys, because it is in a week and a bit, is we may have 1 or 2 new centre backs by then. Because the transfer window is open. This is relevant for all clubs. There may be a change in personnel. That's all I'd say.
Just a shout out for Elliot Anderson before we move on. 22 DEFCONs, which I think is his most in a game this season. He obviously does do absolutely brilliant for them. You look at his returns over recent games, 7-4, 4-3, 4-3, 4. Consistency. Obviously, it's his assist on Dominguez flicked-headed goal. Is that worth 5.3 at the moment? Probably not, but you do know what you get from that. I just think there's other options that I'd probably be looking at this stage, but it will tick over as a regular 4-pointer or so. It's a brilliant result for Forest, clearly. All
right, let's talk about your trip down to the Cherry Orchard, James, where Bournemouth 3, Tottenham 2. Late. Antoine Semenyo winner, endearing himself to the Manchester City fans by scoring against you lot because you're a thorn in their side, no doubt.
I'm sure Manchester City fans would have rather that he scored against Arsenal at the weekend, but there you go. He did feel
taking an Arsenal mug of coffee up to Man City if he wants to, because they've left some in the changing rooms at Bournemouth.
Well, he's reportedly an Arsenal fan anyway, so maybe he will. It was from their perspective, obviously, kind of almost felt like a written in the stars moment. Brilliant way to obviously kind of sign off with the club. He got a great reception when he was taken off afterwards and stuff. Certainly no animosity from the Bournemouth crowd towards him, just fully in support, and I think thankful and understanding he's going to one of the biggest ones, isn't he? So
they're making big money as well. 65 million is a good price
for Manchester City. Maybe I think Bournemouth probably valued him at higher, but it is what it is, and it became clear for a while that he was going to go this month.
Current market, still a lot of money for a club of Bournemouth size. Still a lot of money to be making 65 million on a player.
What do you do if you own him?
The reason I hesitate in answering the question is because when I was putting together this wild card, I had space, I had budget to put him in. Like he was of the budget I had left for the last midfielder, he had the most points, right? Understandably, because he's second highest scoring midfielder in the game. And I did debate, like, what do you do? Like now he's at Man City. And I tried to think that obviously he'll get into the team. I do believe that, right? And I'm assuming you're the same. You think he'll play?
No, I wouldn't call that obvious at all.
Okay. So if you don't think he's going to get into the team, then it's a clear you don't really keep it. But then say he does get into the team, what does it do to his output? But is a Semenyo in a Man City team with a striker like Haaland as opposed to a striker like Evan Nilsson better or worse? Does he move to being a provider rather than a scorer? I don't know the answer to that. I suppose these are the questions that I suppose you want to try and figure out, because so much of what City do is around feeding the robot.
If I said to you now, because it's the Manchester Derby in Gamweek 22, and there's obviously bits to learn. They've got a cup tie at home to Exeter this weekend, then the first leg at Newcastle. So there's bits of information to learn. I presume he's going to be involved in there somewhere. I don't know if he featured for Bournemouth in the League Cup this season or not, actually. So he might not even be able to play in the Carabao. I'm not sure. That needs checking. But if I said to you now, he's going to start home to Wolves in game week 23, you'd probably keep him, wouldn't you?
Wolves, yes. Yeah. Manchester United game is away as well, right? It's at Old Trafford.
Straight in. I don't know the answer. I'd probably be sitting there thinking this is going to be problematic. And obviously, if you're sitting there on 3 other Manchester City as well, then if you want to do anything, it's obviously got to move on at some point. I'd probably just try and take the information that's learned over the next week or so. Like if, say, another good carrier like Doku got injured again, would you look at it and think, well, that's going to be beneficial potentially for his minutes maybe? Cherky's not started, obviously, this midweek. That will change again. Maybe it's Foden's turn next, maybe to miss one or something. I'd probably be looking at it and probably move on, because I don't know what it's going to look like. And the United fixture is tough enough. I feel like psychologically it's been quite low scoring, I think, the more recent meetings at Old Trafford, but we don't even know who's managing Manchester United at this point. So I'd want to take the information over the next week, I think. It's worth saying, he was quiet, by the way. I don't think he played particularly well. He scored a brilliant goal at the end, but he was very quiet. He wasn't a danger at all. When we played them in game week 3, he ripped us apart. That was not the case in this game. He was pretty quiet.
Okay. For your information, James, he played in the Carabao Cup for Bournemouth. They lost in the second round to Brentford 2-0. He came on in the second half in that game.
Okay. What I mean by that, you're not going to get anything from the Newcastle game that will give us information about what's next. Oh, Pep fancies him straight away in a big game. We're not going to get that information. I think, therefore, it's probably a sell. In terms of Bournemouth, congratulations to them. They weren't great. They got their press all wrong in the first 20 minutes, and I think it's their greatest strength. It seemed to really struggle because we were dropping Bentancur in between the 2 centre-backs, and it seemed to kind of give a little bit of alarm and concern to how they were going about pressing. And I think part of the problem, actually, ironically, was probably Kroupi, because he's more of a 9 than a 10 as far as I can tell. He's obviously played that position in this game, and he played fine, but I felt it took them a while in terms of adjustment of press. They also did what they did quite a lot when we played them in game week 3, which was try and force us to build up through the left-hand side, but we actually had quite a bit more success in this particular game because of one particular individual I'll talk about in a sec. But Kroupi, 4.6. He started this one. That's the first time he's played over 45 minutes since game week 14. I'd bear that in mind. I think the natural conclusion is, they've got a few injury issues now. Semenyo's leaving. Is Kroupi going to play on the regular? Well, I think the first thing to say and acknowledge is here that Bournemouth will go into the market. Bournemouth ain't going to finish this month and buy no one. Even if they take someone on loan, for example, I've heard Ethan Nwaneri from Arsenal's name being mentioned. He's getting no minutes for them at the moment. Would go in and I think would play the 10 position for Bournemouth if he went there for the rest of the season. And if Arsenal let him go on loan, they'll want him to go and play, not just sit on the bench somewhere. So I wouldn't think, it's like Kroupi's going to play every game now. I'd monitor it. If you own, it's great. If you want that as your cheap third forward, it's absolutely fine, because I think the timing is always there as a prospect that you'll potentially come in for Evan Nilsson anyway. But Enisu now is fit again now as well. Yeah, not Bournemouth's best day, but I also acknowledge that their confidence is quite low at the moment. They've not had a good result in a number of weeks. I think when they beat Forest, and we'll say game week 8 was their last win or so. Like, it'd been a while, almost to the point of arguably beginning to look over their shoulder. And it's a sign of how shit they've been over the last 2 months or so that they beat us and they're still below us. I suspect they won't be for much longer, though. Not great. They're still ropey defensively. The goalkeeper is a problem. He made one brilliant save from Mickey van der Ven, but he doesn't inspire any confidence on set pieces or inspire confidence he's actually going to save the thing very often. If you're a Petrovic owner, I think with Brighton and Liverpool in the next 2, I think you're potentially looking to move that on to some other better goalkeepers. Senesi will tick over. Big haul again in terms of DEFCONs. And he's returned all right in this one because he's obviously had the assist for Kroupi's goal. That came from another cross that we didn't defend very well. 2 assists for Marcus Tavernier. And he is now going to get quite a bit of attention at 5.5 because obviously Justin Kluivert has a long-term injury. He's due for an operation. Semenyo's gone. We assume Marcus Tavernier is on pens now.
Yep.
He's on a lot of the set plays. He's managed to keep himself fit. regularly this season. He actually came off with 4 minutes to go. That's the first time he's not played 90 minutes in a game week since game week 14. If you look through his season, he's very,
pretty
very
solid,
good.
isn't it?
Yeah, he's played 60 minutes in all but one game, a substitute appearance at Leeds in game week 6. So
Not
I think
huge in the returns though. Like 4 goals, 3 assists. It's not a monster.
No, but he's got a great shot on him. If he gets it within 25 yards and someone doesn't close him down, he wants to shoot. Whereas I think a lot of players in the league are quite shy to do that. He's not. You've seen his delivery on the 2 goals. It's excellent. He's got set plays, as said, as it would stand. I think he would probably be on the penalties. His DEFCONs over the last 3 games read 10, 10, 12. So obviously needs 12 for a midfielder, but there's capability to pick up little bits of that as well. I don't mind that at all at 5.5.
Yeah.
There's not steam into it, but I think it's fine. If people want to play at that valuation, and also people are looking for, how can I get Palmer or get Fernandes back? Some people are beginning to look in that valuation.
I think I'm comparing it to, would I try and find the money to get to Harry Wilson at 5.8? And I think I'd rather go to Harry Wilson at 5.8 than Tavernier at 5.5. I'm just trying to think, is there more consistency in his returns?
But I think
and probably.
Also consider
it's close though.
Brighton away next is not the easiest fixture. Liverpool at home. There was improvements there. We saw that again last night. They haven't lost for a number of weeks. The next 2 you would say it's not particularly a dive into. But the fixtures from 24 to 31, remember 31 might end up being a bit of a dead end space for people. Wolves away, Villa at home, Everton away, West Ham away, Sunderland at home, Brentford at home, Burnley away, Manchester United at home. It's not bad at all. But then my take would also be a little bit, what's going to happen here in terms of the window? So is it better off waiting until the window's shut to feel secure that he's still on pens and set plays? And that, do you know what I mean? Let the Brighton and Liverpool games go and then look at it again, potentially going into game week 24. So game week 24 is essentially the weekend. I presume that the transfer window is probably going to close, I would say, Monday the 2nd of February. I'm guessing. That's another one for you to check out. So game week 24 is the weekend before that. So, yeah, he's not one I'd be running to, although I'm not kind of targeting a player in that bracket at the moment. If people want to go there, I don't mind it. The minutes have been good this year. He's managed to keep himself fit. There's stuff there where it could tick over really nicely. I think that's fine. When's transfer window closed, Suj?
I'm Googling it
as
we speak.
It?
Tell me about which Spurs players you're not going to buy, because Romero was very clear that the person that is speaking is not speaking and there is just lies. And he meant you, James, because you are the voice that he wants to be speaking about Spurs.
Tottenham would probably, I think, be in the right place to probably sell Christian Romero, and the Sun would be probably the smart decision, I think.
Well, if they want to do it now, they've got until 7 p.m. on February the 2nd, 2026.
It is February the 2nd. Okay, thank you. So that's the Monday after game week 24. The problem with Romero is we're a liability with him, but incapable without him, is the line I've used before about him. So I wish he defended the penalty area as well as he attacks the other penalty area. Yeah, it's he's a top player, but he's unreliable. Him and Mickey van der Ven don't defend a penalty area well. We discussed this yesterday. And I think you've seen that on Bournemouth's first 2 goals. Romero should probably go and step out towards Semenyo at the stage of the game it's at as well, rather than wait for others to do it on the winning goal. But actually, despite clear massive problems at Tottenham, from the manager holding Arsenal Cups to Romero calling out the owners to Mickey van der Ven wanting to get in fights with the fans, and it's all a little bit of a mess. Plus, on top of injuries, by the way. Kudos out to after the March international break. Bergvall picked up.
My heart bleeds.
I'm sure it does, Suj. He's been shit the last 6 to 8 weeks or so anyway. Bergvall picked up a groin problem, which I'm going to guess might even be a recurrence of the problem he picked up at Crystal Palace in game week 18. Rodrigo Bentancur did his hamstring, we think, right towards the end of the game, which he's been starting every game during the festive period. Oh, look, Bentancur and Kudus get run into the ground. Oh, they've got muscle injuries. Actually, he was managing the rotation of the players really well. That, because it's in desperation stage, has not been happening so well. And now we've got 2 players injured. It's worth saying Bentancur was really poor on Wednesday as well. So bare bones. Kulusevski, from his comments yesterday, sounds like when he's be back, might start running in a month or so. So I don't know if he'll play this season. Solanke isn't miles away. Udogi's not miles away either. Tottenham are buying a left back called Souza from Brazil. He's only 19, so yeah,
he's not coming into the team. So
anyway,
you're telling me you literally have 2 central midfielders to play us. One is Palhinha, one is Archie Gray, because I don't think you have anyone else that can play there.
It has to be that. And
you've got no Bergvall, no Sarr, no.
Well, I'm not expecting
anyone,
it.
No one.
I'm not expecting it, but I'm very much hoping that Mali win tonight.
Okay.
Against Senegal in AFCON, for Sarr can come back. Now, the opposite of that is if Senegal win, technically Bissouma can come back. But I presume he's not going to use him.
Yeah.
But it might be something they need to look at. Tottenham need to go into the market. It's clear. They probably will do some stuff. It's going to be quite hostile, I think, if it goes wrong tomorrow. And you can't believe really at this moment that Villa won't beat Tottenham in the FA Cup tomorrow. And then that for us is probably near season over. I wouldn't say season over because we could still end up maybe in a European place, 7th, 8th, something like that. It's not impossible. The league's quite condensed. But we obviously ain't going to go far in the Champions League. There's no chance for us competing with the top 5 because in any case, we're nowhere near good enough. Shite. No. But I do want to say, we were actually a bit unlucky Wednesday night. Definitely, the game could have gone our way and we could have won it. And then the mood, I think, is very, very different. I would say it was actually our best performance of the festive period across the 4 games. It was still shit, but they did show intent to try and win the football match, even if I didn't necessarily like the style that it was played in. And as I said to you yesterday, it is worth highlighting. You're not going to go there 6.2. It's too expensive. But Matheus for me, it was man of match across both teams. It was outstanding. He showed intent all through the game. And he may get a run of games now on the left-hand side. Where he's an able body at the moment now. So I guess he probably will. I'm pleased that the gap between my team and your team is as big as it is. And if we can beat you, any lingering concern about that, what would the difference be? 16 points? That would be more points than you've got. Then I think, there wouldn't be a danger. I mean this genuinely. I'm pleased that we're on 27 points because with these injuries now and after the West Ham Burnley game, our fixtures are horrendous. I genuinely would be looking over my shoulder. So, Tottenham assets, guys. I'm not going to... Oh my God, you've got West Ham and Burnley in the next 2. I doubt we win them both.
Easily lose them.
I'd be very surprised if Tottenham can put 2 wins together. And even if they do, it's exactly what I said. You're going to hit Gamweek 24 and want to move it on anyway.
Well, you said you can't compete
there on Van der Ven or anything like that, you're going to think of moving it on in Gamweek 24.
Yeah. Well, you said you can't compete with the top 5. Top 5 right now includes Brentford, who beat Sunderland 3-0 handsomely. 5 big chances in the game. We talked about Igor Thiago's massive XG. Sunderland had 2 and an XG of 1.7, but then obviously you've got to remember there's a penalty in there, which was obviously missed by Lefay. So that influences the numbers there a little bit. Comfy win in the end for Brentford, and what a season they are having, man.
Absolutely. They deserve massive credit through Keith Andrews and everyone at the football club, because clearly they're not missing their previous manager. They lost Vis, they lost Buma. They lost their captain, Christian Norgard, as well. Yeah, absolutely super result. I was just looking for players that Igor Thiago's got more XG this week than during the course of the season. Alexander Isak's 1. Callum Wilson, Tierno, Barry. Jared Bowen's got... Sorry, Suj, this is a terrible statistic. Jared Bowen's got 4.5 XG for the season. Igor Thiago's over the last week is like 3.5. Yeah. When you look at that and I'm going, don't buy him, Suj, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but Jared Bowen is the 3rd highest scoring forward in FPL this season. So I think it just goes to show what a shit bunch of forward options there are. The gap from Thiago on 120 points in second to Bowen in third is 30 points. Like, it's massive.
I mean, Calvert-Lewin's up to fourth now, isn't it?
It says more about the fact that there's no good forward options this season after Haaland and Thiago. The rest are all just meh. Yeah, you're talking about how many midfielders are there over 100 points? There's
if we'd have sat here last Friday morning after I'd watched Tottenham at Brentford the night before, and you'd gone, oh, I think Thiago's going to go mental the next week. You'd gone, no chance. The amount of criticism he was getting over the last few weeks from even within the FPL community about, he's dog shite, don't worry, stuff like that. He does look like he's this year's Chris Wood. And actually, I think I saw us that he might even have more goals than Chris Wood got last season now.
He has.
Is that right?
Yeah, someone said it on, was it Spencer said it on COTC?
It might have been Spencer, actually. Yeah,
I feel like it was... Wood got 14 in the entire season, and I think he's already up to 15, 16, something like that.
So Chris Wood, last season, I will tell you, scored... can't tell you. Can't get it up. Oh, yeah, previous seasons, that's what I want.
14?
No, he scored 20 league goals last year.
Oh,
Spencer, you're wrong, if it was Spencer. 20.
He's on 16 now. He's going to beat Chris Wood. He's going to score more than 4 goals this season in the rest of the season, surely.
Also, with me saying I wouldn't chase Thiago if you don't own, I obviously didn't own Wood for nearly all of last season. And he kept having spells where you'd be like, he's banked for a couple, it's finished now. And then it would happen again. I remember when they beat Brighton 7-0, it was like, absolutely, I think he got 2 goals and assists, felt like destroyed me out of nowhere. And he wasn't on my radar to like bring in at all because I kept looking at going, fixtures are shit. But you know what? Despite the fact he's hurting me, I've never regretted not getting him, really. Because for me, I'm fixture head, right? I wouldn't look at Thiago and go, he's done this, that, and the other over the last week. I'm now going to buy him with them fixtures coming up. Like, yeah, I just wouldn't, personally. I'm more inclined to think of selling. The main reason I wouldn't sell isn't because he's done this, that, and the other. It's knowing that I will want him back in game week 28. He's run 27 to 31. And again, a lot of people are going to end up dead end into this period and wild carding afterwards. Brighton, Burnley, Bournemouth, Wolves, Leeds. Right. That I'm going to want him back for that period. So if I sell him, I'm going to go back. I've got big value invested. I also, because the depth I have in my squad, can hide him in a few weeks if I want to. I will probably play him at Chelsea because their home record hasn't been brilliant and there's an element of unknown with obviously new manager going in at the moment. But I wouldn't be thinking, I think he's going to go off at Chelsea. Like, he's not, is he? It's not improbable that I even bench him in 22.
I don't want to say, like, he's been consistent, man.
I know he has.
He's been consistent. So I think he can go off at Chelsea. I say go off. He can return at Chelsea. Goal and assist. Do you want to play the fixtures, or do you want to play the fixtures, or do you want to play the good teams? Right? Do you want to pick a bad team even though they've got good fixtures, or would you rather pick a good team even though they've got more difficult fixtures? At the moment, I'd pick the good player with more difficult fixtures than the bad team. It's what I've done with Jared Bowen versus Thiago. Bowen may have better fixtures. Thiago's a better player. Right now.
Also, realistically, Brentford are currently sitting in a Champions League spot in 5th place. Does anyone think that they will hold on to that?
No.
They're 5th now. I wouldn't be surprised if, again, after the Arsenal fixture's gone in game week 26, if we're looking at the table and they're back down to 11th, 12th. They're doing phenomenal, right? I mean, they might already have more points now than you finished the season with, Suj, for example. Are they on 35, Brentford?
Standing
like,
33.
It's brilliant. And those European spots 33. Are like absolutely up for grabs. This might be the peak point, is kind of what I'm saying. And if you've got something that's hit its peak point, that's not the time to buy, because it might regress in the short term. So you're saying Brentford are 5th. Would you consider any other Brentford player at this moment?
Looking at the team, the only other one that maybe stood out would be Lewis Potter, and that would be like bench option.
Utara's back now.
Yeah, so I was going to be my next point with Lewis Potter. It'd be a bench option. I wouldn't be playing him every week, and it would be not really that
He's
exciting
coming
because
out
of
of
his
the team,
time.
so that's useless to you. Sepp van den Berg was an enabling way into the team. Right, he's now not played a number of games, and people have got him. The fixtures give you an opportunity to think on and moving on. What I would add is those who've been on Nathan Collins recently will be absolutely delighted. His returns over the last 5 game weeks, 13, 10, 9, 4, 8. Absolutely brilliant. It's 5.0, and because of that, he'll probably get a little bit of investment now. Don't chase it. Chase Collins at 5 million with them fixtures that are coming up.
But there's half his points for the season in these 4-5 games.
Okay, so been on a really good run. Had a great Christmas. It's only this time last week I drew 0-0 with Tottenham and bored everyone to tears. Well, I'm sure it didn't because most people watched Sunderland against Manchester City, but it was awful. Everton were toilet against them on Sunday, and for Sunderland, they've obviously hit a period where playing Man City Thursday, Tottenham Sunday, not good. So I don't want to discredit anything Brentford have done in any way. They're 5th. Long may it continue. They're doing really well. I'm just saying, right, some good fixtures over the Christmas period are gone. I wouldn't be chasing it now, personally. I'd more look at Sunderland, Palace, West Ham, Burnley in the next 3.
Yeah, I mean, again, not a good result for them. I'm quite comfortable sitting on Xhaka and Alderete, not in the intense urgency to add a third.
No, in seriously, probably don't chase that. But again, if you want a defensive one, Alderete or Michele, fine. Reynildo, we've said a few times, now back from AFCON. I'm sure we'll be back in the team for Gamweek 22. He's 3.8. That will offer a really good solution for people. When you talk about having someone you leave on the bench, I'm just pay this guy at Sunderland, who largely, I know they were bad at Brentford, largely are quite reliable defensively, particularly in home games. You could use it. 3.8.
Do you know who the highest point scorer for Sunderland in FPL is so far this season, James?
Probably not Xhaka. Let's say it's probably Michele. Oh, it's Rose. Is it Rose? Probably Rose.
It's Rose.
Yeah.
Rose. 95 points at the moment. He's their top point scorer in FPL. And he is also the top point scoring goalkeeper in FPL. When you did COTC with Spencer and that, and he talked about Rose, he said he had Rose in his team. I was like, why has he gone with the keeper? But then double checked, and he's the highest point scoring keeper for the season so far. He's up to 4.9 though, so it's not like a 4.5er that you can.
Well, I think like what we discussed
into.
on the COTC when we previewed this game's right in the sense that Rose as a goalkeeper is absolutely fine, but I think it's like if you're on, you're not going to move. You're very, very happy with that.
But to go to now, Sanchez probably.
You look elsewhere, and also it's the psychological going. I can have investment in Sunderland for 1.1 cheaper than that, and it's not. If you look at Rose, like he's done great this season. But look across the first 6 game weeks, Suj. There's 2 10-pointers in there and 2 8-pointers. Right, in the games since then, he's only hit an 8 once. He hit 9-pointer at home to Newcastle. That's it. So there was a real big build-up of like basically 36 points across 4 games across the first 6 game weeks of the season. And I realise there's other thing, Alderete got a 17-pointer at Nottingham Forest. These are going to boost up these other guys as well. So again, it's not criticising him in any way. If you own perfectly good goalkeeper, leave it be completely. But if I wanted to invest in Sunderland defensively, I wouldn't be going Rose. To be honest, now I would go Reynildo at 3.8.
Yep.
Just cheat this way in. And that's often now we've separated Alderete and Michele as well. Which one's cheap?
Who's cheapest? Yeah.
I think probably fatigue hit them after a really difficult week. Not helped as well, though. They've ended up losing 3-0. They're given a gift in terms of a penalty at 1-0, which Bobby wins really well. He's becoming a handful, actually. And Lefay misses the penalty. I don't like the criticism of him. He's had a lot of criticism for this with the Paneka. If you do that, if the goalkeeper stands there and just catches it like Kelleher does, obviously it looks really bad. But if Kelleher dives, and he normally does dive, then everyone's going, the cheek of him, it's brilliant.
High risk, high reward. Yeah.
If you do it, you've kind of got a score because this is the reaction afterwards. But I mean, he's actually, for example, his Paneka is better than Danny Welbeck's in the game at West Ham the other week.
Yep.
At least it's on the target. Well, yeah, if the keeper does move, it's in, isn't it? So I don't know if there might be a little bit of a consequence of that. He's played a really advanced role actually in this game as well. But I probably would just go for the security of Xhaka, even though he's more expensive. They're probably not going to be that busy, I don't think, in terms of the window. They're going to have a lot of players coming back from AFCON. People you're forgetting about, like Diarra, we've hardly seen, was great against you Gamweek 1. Sadiqi's been a miss for them.
Yeah.
They've actually coped with this AFCON period really well, Sunderland. They just had a bad night.
Palace 0, Villa 0. Do we need to spend long talking about this? Doesn't sound like it was a whopper. Both sides had 3 big chances in the game, but it's ended up being pretty meh. Nothing. Which I'm happy with because Maxence Lacroix finally got me some points.
Yeah, I think it's a good result for Palace because kind of hanging on a bit at the moment with injury issues and stuff, and confidence is a little bit low at the moment. And they've got a couple more challenges now: Sunderland away, Chelsea at home. But then the awareness that it begins to get better. Forest away, Brighton away, big ring around 26, 27, Burnley and Wolves at home consecutively. There's also Leeds at home after that in game week 30. One of the things that's going to be really interesting with Palace is obviously they're scheduled to play at Manchester City in game week 31. So what happens if Man City go to Newcastle and win 3-0 in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg, for example? There's a consequence to Crystal Palace in future weeks. Or I might end up carrying a player here that might blank further down the line because Manchester City will. And remember, it's very unlikely that fixture will get brought forward because Crystal Palace have obviously got a confirmed Conference League playoff. If Manchester City finish top 8 in the Champions League, they'll have a confirmed last 16 tie. Literally nowhere to put that fixture bringing it forward. There wouldn't be. So I think Palace need a consciousness in your mind. Daniel Munoz was always kind of hypothetically going to be back around about sort of end of January, February. You got a player there that you know can be outstanding, will have next to no ownership, coming in some absolutely brilliant fixtures. I'd be aware of that. For you, Suj, for example, as a Lacroix owner, I'd be hanging on to that at the moment. Mark Gay's obviously getting linked with a move away at the moment. City have obviously got their defensive problems. Liverpool, we know, are still interested. Arsenal's name has come back up recently because they don't have enough centre-backs at the moment. So, I think he'll stay. He's going to make a lot more money.
Well, yeah. And
him personally.
Would you, even as a club, would you pay 30, 35 million, which is what they're talking about, they want for someone you can get for free in the summer?
Yeah, but if you...
Considering the gap that City has now to Arsenal, like realistically...
But if he came in and played every game till the end of the season and City did catch Arsenal, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine the answer to that is yes, isn't it? So... if he was the difference, let's just say hypothetically, Van Dijk got injured last night. What would the value be of Liverpool going in to get Mark Gay and it being the difference whether they qualify for the Champions League or not?
Yeah, I was going to say, how much is Champions League worth? I don't know, 50 million a year?
They're higher than that now as a starting point. Once you add in prize money, TV revenue, merit order stuff, you're probably starting about 70-ish minimum just for being in the group stage of it. So, yeah, if people, and from Palace's perspective, would you look at it and go, cash in? Tough. If someone starts coming with 30, 35, it's like he's going for free in 4 months. But then it's the same. What's the value to Palace in that Conference League? Not financially, but emotionally for the football club.
Yeah, but then getting into the Europa League has benefits as well. So, yeah.
I think they're going to struggle to do that. And I do think that it's worth saying, despite those fixtures
from winning the Conference League is what I mean.
Yeah, you're quite right. They would do. I think we should have an awareness with them as well that their season might become strongest team plays first is. Not now, not anytime soon, but that might be what their season becomes. For Villa, wouldn't be particularly looking to run there at the moment, but if people got injury issues or players they're particularly frustrated with, when you look at Everton's performances over the last week, Morgan Rogers is going to continue to appeal. I personally kind of have a ring round him for maybe game week 24 because I think at this moment, prioritise Enzo Fernandez first is my current thinking. Might change my mind on that if I don't feel comfortable following Chelsea's fixtures over the next week or so. Maybe come back to that in game week 24. Morgan Rogers is the only Villa player under consideration for me. I know Watkins had a good run recently. We should be aware that I think he's still being managed personally. I'm sure he'll be managed, and I would say probably doesn't start at Tottenham in the FA Cup tomorrow. So you should be good for the Everton game the following week. They're in a good position in the Europa League, so they can probably rotate in that a little bit. It's only Rodgers that'd be interesting, and I've made a semi case for Matty Cash if it's something that works for you on a rotation. It's not something I'd want every week. And Emi Martinez has gone off injured at half time here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just me, or does this happen a lot more with Martinez than it tends to happen with other goalkeepers? Misses
being
game,
injured.
He's gone off at half time.
Being injured, yeah. I don't know about going off at half time because I couldn't tell you from memory whether that happens a lot. But he does seem to miss games through injury more than maybe other keepers.
So this season, he didn't play the opener against Newcastle. Then he was back in the team at Brentford in game week 2 and had a problem. He then didn't play against Crystal Palace in game week 3. He didn't play at Brighton in game week 14. He pulled out of the game in the warm-up, if you remember. Then he played against Arsenal. Then he didn't play in the victory at West Ham afterwards in game week 16. And now this one, he's come off at half-time. And I want to say, if I remember correctly, when Villa got battered at Crystal Palace last season, he pulled out of the warm-up in that, I think, as well. Point being is, he might be carrying a long-term problem or something here, because I think for a goalkeeper, it's not normal to keep missing odd little games like this. So they're about to come in some good fixtures where I think because their players don't really pick up DEFCONs and stuff, if you want it, you do, I'll revert to Martinez. Like, he's going to be the same price as Rose at some point, right? And if Villa have got strong fixtures and they're third in the league, etc., you think, well, there's no DEFCONs at Villa, but should I continue Martinez? This would put me off massively. So what I'm saying is, I'm not critical. I don't know if he's got a long-term problem where this keeps happening or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it could well be. Could well be. Let's talk about Everton. Everton, obviously, good to get a point at home, though you'd expect more against Wolves. And their fixtures are all right. They're not like anything to maybe be scared of with Villa, Leeds, Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Man United, but you could also see them losing all of them. But now that they've lost Michael Keane for violent conduct, Jack Grealish will be a one-game ban, won't it, because of his red card.
So he'll serve a suspension in the FA Cup.
Oh, okay, fine. So he's all right.
Michael Keane at the moment would be a 3-game ban. So Everton have appealed the decision at the time of recording, and you'll probably get information on that today, I would guess, because technically you'll be suspended first and foremost for the FA Cup tie. As it would stand, he'd be suspended for the games at Aston Villa in game week 22 and the Leeds fixture in game week 23 if the ban stands. The target, of course, was for Jared Branthwaite to be back for game week 22. We don't know as yet if he will be or not, but I wonder if Everton ideally would maybe want to give him some minutes against Sunderland in this weekend, the FA Cup, if they can. Even if it's like a planned 45 minutes, we'll take you off at half time. Then if they can get him back in the team, they will. It was always likely to be Michael Keane when Branthwaite was back. So if Branthwaite is back available before game week 23, when Keane's back from suspension, if he's suspended, he won't be going back in anyway. So I think that is a wait and see what the suspension ruling is first and foremost. But if the suspension stands, that's a definitive sell, Michael Keane, for me.
Anything from these two sides interesting you at the moment? Wolves, four more points to go. Wolves, come on, you can do it.
The guy that I keep telling you about, when I told you that Wolves were more interested in FPL than Tottenham after Tottenham lost at Nottingham Forest, I wasn't joking, because Matheus Mane, he's him, isn't he?
That is 3 returns in the last 2 and 4 for the season so far, considering how few minutes he's had. He's not going to get dropped, is he?
As if he's going to get dropped. I said to you about 2 months ago, Suj, eventually he's going to break in this team because they'll want a commitment to their future. Also now, though, it's 3 unbeaten and he's an integral part to it. He's scored 4 goals this week and he's got 3 goal involvements.
Yeah, I don't mean dropped per se, but you've got to remember he's an 18-year-old kid. So when you've got youngsters like that, do you want to just keep throwing them?
The only way he's not playing for Wolves in a month's time is if someone's already seen enough and decides to buy him. Yeah,
potentially. I'm always wary with young kids at that age, just that they get rotated a little bit so that they don't get overplayed. I understand though, Wolves in this current situation, if they're still believing that they can get out of it, which is nigh on impossible, but you keep playing till the last game, then he'll play, right?
He's obviously a boy with confidence. Well, look at him in his celebration when he scores. He runs over to Wolves fans and he's pointing at the ground, I'm here, I'm here. Like, as in, he believes in himself. It's not like fragile. It's like it's happening now. Goal at the weekend, goal this midweek. I'm not like he's 4.5 million forward, who actually, by the way, is playing more like an 8 at the moment. It's not like run and buy there. I personally would still probably rather go Kroupi because of a ceiling of, if Evan Nilsson got injured, this could be this, that, and the other. Because ultimately, as I've also said, he is still playing for Wolves, and most of the time you are going to bench it. And he's not going to keep scoring every week. But you need to monitor that now. For those who are on this setup with a 4.5 forward, he's got to be under consideration for you. Or if you want to go that way, again, there'll be people at the moment sitting there with, take me at the moment, I've got Haaland, Ekitike, and Thiago as an example. Right, if Ekitike is ruled out for a few weeks, which at the moment I suspect is not the case, but if he was, where am I going? I don't know where I'm going. Now, one option would be, bollocks, I go to this fella or Kroupi, and now I can get from Cunha up to Palmer if I wanted to. So there's a consequence, right? Players like Mane, Kroupi help with the idea of your Palmers, Sakas, etc. There's a reason why I don't have one of these, and it's because I'm not that high on the likes of Palmer or Saka personally. But yeah, he looks like a little gem. I hope for Wolves that he plays for them in the Championship next year after they've finished 18th in the league.
Maybe. Let's talk about Fulham, Chelsea. Red card for Cucurella that you mentioned there. He'll obviously be served in the FA Cup. Professional foul.
He held Wilson for so long, didn't he? And it's hard to tell whether he actually lets go of him in the box or out the box. It's very, very close. Wilson does great though, because Cucurella's grabbing him and Wilson keeps backing into him. The backing in on a circumstance like that, he's never going to get given as a foul. And I'm not saying it should have been. A strange one from Cucurella, because I feel like he's a player that you think, his recovery's really good. You'd really trust him in sort of 1v1 scenarios. And Wilson's not the quickest. So it felt like a surprise that he didn't get himself round on the cover and get in front or get his own body in the way. He's obviously had an injury issue himself recently. And it could well be that that's played a little bit of a factor on this. The incident obviously massively helps the end result. It's not to say Fulham wouldn't or couldn't have won anyway, but it obviously has a bearing on the result. And therefore, we have learnt very little about Chelsea because they've played so much of this game with 10 men. I said Liam Rosenior
They've only won once in 9 league games.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of irrelevant, isn't it? It's definitely irrelevant when you look at Brentford at home, Palace away. It's a good time to play Palace at the moment. West Ham at home, Wolves away, Leeds at home, Burnley at home. I mean, okay, you're Brentford are 5th, but really and playing Palace at a good time, you could barely dream up a better 6 fixtures than that. There's only one thing that could make that set of 6 games better for Chelsea. I don't need to tell you what it is. Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned about their form because there's a new manager coming in. What do we associate with? Potential bounce. Oh my God, there's great fixtures as well. So there's a number of Chelsea assets that are very interesting. I think Cucurella probably still remains one of them. Trevor Chalobah, obviously, as well. Decent enough, 5.5. It was his assist, was it, for Liam Delap's goal? No, it wasn't. He hit a DEFCON at the weekend, wasn't it? So 12-pointer. He doesn't hit DEFCONs regularly, but what I would say is there's consistency in his numbers on DEFCONs. 12, 10, 8, 10, 13, 11, 8. That's dating back to the defeat at Leeds. So he's either in it or just outside it. He's close. For those who like to track this shit during games, I don't advise it, but you can track him and feel like he'll normally be quite close. He's probably the safest one to go to, but of course we don't truthfully know in seriousness if he'll be favoured.
Yep, it's true.
Could Rosenior? I like Fofana and Badiashile, for example. We don't know yet. Reece James, obviously, nostalgia pick would be avoidable. It would be avoidable, one, because the price 5.7. You know the football club is very intent on protecting him. And Chelsea have some big midweek fixtures coming up. Those 2 Arsenal games, 2 Champions League fixtures. This is the real concern. It's the only real concern in terms of investing in these Chelsea players is, am I going to get the minutes out of them? Because my solution, truthfully, if Slot would say, oh, Ekiteke's out for a month, first place I'm going to want to look is João Pedro, mate. He ain't even started.
Well, Reece James didn't start either, but then, yeah, you say they want to protect him. Let's be clear. They want to protect his value because that's what it's all about at Chelsea. I think I'd end up going Trevor Chalobah. I think he's the most reliable, but we've got an opportunity to have a look before needing to maybe dive in there. So, Enzo Fernandez really high on the list, and I think 6.4 is a solid price as well, isn't it, for him?
Of course it is. Of course it is. I mean, if you went and go and knock yourself out, Suj, look at XG for midfielders in the Premier League this year. See what you find.
He's going to be up there.
I think you find he's more than up there, mate.
XG total. He's top. He is 7.79, just above Kevin Sade and Bruno Fernandes.
There is one penalty in there.
Yeah, I was going to
assume he's not on penalties because of Palmer's availability, but he could be at any point if, say, Palmer wasn't on the pitch.
Comes off early or whatever, yep. Anything from Fulham?
Cole Palmer, but it's not of interest to me.
Yeah.
It's not to say I need to see something first for this to be of interest to me. And I'm pretty sure he's going to play all their midweek games. Now, that might also be the case for Enzo Fernandez, but I know Enzo Fernandez is largely more durable, right? I wouldn't rule Casado out as an option for people as well. You know he's going to be great for DEFCON, so if you're looking in around that bracket, fixture's not so relevant, but he's more likely to maybe pick you up a haul with a goal in one of these sort of fixtures coming up. For Fulham, no, not real any interest. They've had an absolutely brilliant Christmas period. They're running really well at the moment. I think they might even be level on points with Chelsea, are they? Near enough, I think. So great period for them. Fixtures coming up are indifferent. I think they're probably indifferent because the two away games against the two Manchester clubs stand out. But if you took them out, and again, remember, you might be dead end into game week 31. Fulham in that run to 31 right at the end. Tottenham at home, West Ham at home, Forest away, Burnley at home. Is the 28 to 31 period of a potential dead end.
Before that, Sunderland, Everton 2 before that. It is a decent enough.
Yeah, the home games,
the
home games are okay, aren't they? Brighton and Everton particularly. So I don't ever chase Wilson at 5.8. But when you were talking earlier about, say, Wilson versus Tavernier and the form Wilson's been in, I do find it difficult to maybe make that case for Tavernier over Wilson. Because he keeps going.
Yeah, he's found his consistency and stuff. We know the talent in the player's been there. Now he's delivering end product week after week.
I'd also have one little caveat about him, and this is a minor concern. But the most likely I am to get a Tottenham player in my FPL squad is keeping him. He's out of contract in the summer. And I think most people he's probably a profile now where he's probably not looked by the bigger clubs as a long-term option. Someone like Tottenham are in a real problem with injuries. He plays the same position of Kudus, who's now out till March. Kulusevski is nowhere near being ready. Tottenham have a lot of players who prefer to play on the left-hand side than the right-hand side. I'm not trying to buy Harry Wilson here, but they do put 2 and 2 together and see a potential transfer there. I mean that.
Yeah, or he gets a contract bump because he's got 13 attacking returns this season so far, which is a solid output.
Well, the form he's in, he ain't going to sign nothing at the moment, is he?
No, it's true.
Because potentially he's going to earn a packet somewhere. I'm just saying, if Fulham went, it's 15 million here, lads. You're safe now. What do you want to do?
50.
15.
Oh, okay. 15.
With 6 months left on his contract.
15? Nah.
It's not Mark Gay's age, is he? Mark Gay's still only like 24. Feels like he's been around forever.
Well, how old is Harry Wilson?
I don't know. Google it, Suj, but I don't think he's as young as you think he is.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember him from Liverpool days, which feels like so long ago. Harry Wilson James is 28 years old.
Right, so there you go.
He's got a few years left in him. Let's see.
By the way, Harry Wilson, if you're listening to this, I would advise you against joining Tottenham for your own benefits and your own career. But I'm saying that it's the sort of thing I can see developing. Fulham very nearly sold him to Leeds. in the last window. Now, his form since then, incredible and stuff like that, right? I'm just saying, I wouldn't be shocked if someone makes an offer because they've got a problem. Fulham might take it, as much as Marco Silva won't like it. They might go, this makes sense. Because clearly they're well out of trouble now, right?
Let's talk about City 1, Brighton 1. James, Erling Haaland, obviously, with the penalty for most capers. Capers are being captainers rather than people telling fibs out there. But this patchwork defence, Kuzanov, Alain, Aki, though they are in front of number 10 in the world player for the World Cup, Donnarumma. I learned that new yesterday on that show with Nico.
And as someone
Top
pointed
keeper,
out,
son.
Great reminder, they ain't even qualified yet.
That was a list of top players in next season's World Cup. Was that what it was?
It was a bizarre list. It wasn't Nico's list. It was from the Athletic.
UEFA.
It was a bizarre list.
Okay. Yeah. That's very true. They haven't qualified as yet. Drop points for City ultimately didn't matter because Arsenal dropped points as well yesterday. But what are we making of this? Anything? I'm on the triple up. O'Reilly's had his rest. I don't know if that means anything. Foden's there or thereabouts. I'm pretty meh on Phil Foden. Haaland's going nowhere.
At half time against Chelsea, for the first time, I've really thought they might give Arsenal a run here. And when I was walking out of the Vitality, I really wasn't sure whether to tell my dad or not that they hadn't won, because I knew that wasn't going to make the mood any better. Because all Tottenham fans are obviously closet Manchester City fans at the moment, basically.
Because they give you 3 points quite regularly.
Well, it's the closest I can get to seeing a team win, isn't it?
Well, listen, there was 12 big chances. They had 7 big chances, racked up a decent XG, 21 shots, just didn't get over the line here.
Well, yeah, if you're wondering why Haaland wasn't in the bonus, it's explained away by his monster XG. His biggest, ironically, since he blanked at Newcastle in Gamweek 12. Missed a load of chances. Obviously, scored the penalty. That's also an influence to this. But he's missed some other great chances. His XG would still be not far off 1, even without the penalty, right? Yep. So that's why he's not been in the bonus. Brighton had their moments in this game as well. I'm concerned
5 chances for them.
That Vardio and Diaz combination had become quite settled. And O'Reilly's obviously looked tired recently as well. We don't know if they'll go into the market. I've not watched this game, so I can't tell you.
We do, because they've just dropped 65 million on Semenyo.
Yeah, but I mean,
you mean defensively?
I mean defensively.
Yeah. But look, Rico Lewis there, Nico Riley came off the bench. They got some players there.
Well, I can't give you anything on Max Alain in terms of whether we're looking at something that's going to play regularly. Now, if it is at 4.5 playing centre back for Man City, and the fact he's at DEFCON here on what is essentially his debut, then wants monitoring, doesn't it? Because actually, after this week, City's fixtures are really good.
Yep.
And it's a trip to Liverpool in 25. Other than that, City's fixtures are good. Clearly, they've got to put the foot to the floor. They have to win at Manchester United. I don't think last night was a definitive for who wins the league. But Manchester City have to go to Manchester United to win. The vibe at Manchester United will be very supportive of the home team, whomever is managing the team that day. A, because of that, and B, because it's still they're playing City and they'll want to stop City, and also obviously do well for themselves as well. I wouldn't be looking at City this week. I think you're more looking at a conversation here, maybe the week after. But I think the Wolves game comes with a tinge of, could there be rotation? I think we're more now in what am I doing with Phil Foden for many? What's the impact if I'm a Cherky owner now that Semenyo comes in? What's the impact for Nico O'Reilly of 8 Nori coming back from AFCON soon? Probably won't be for next week, but then probably for the week after. What's the impact on these guys? Because it's changed over the last month or so.
Yep.
Even when I was speaking to Johnny Pringle COTC 2 weeks ago, it was like, bloody hell, Johnny, finally we've landed, and it's more than just Haaland here. Fast forward a couple of weeks.
Well, we were talking about how it's copy-paste for the team lineup week after week, which we've never had for City, where you can almost predict. Of weeks,
and now you're like, I wouldn't buy anyone other than him. Now, that's not to say you should definitively sell what you've got, but I think you are now very, very closely monitoring it.
Yep.
For Brighton, Mr. Jekyll and Hyde is capable of this sort of thing. They've taken 4 points off City this year. Decent run of fixtures coming up. 3 of the next 4 at home. Bournemouth, Everton, Crystal Palace. Fulham away in there as well. Unreliable. There's nothing Brighton on my radar at the moment. I'm quite happy holding the goalkeeper. And I think generally, if you were on wildcard this week, that Verbruggen-Dubravka combination is absolutely fine. The worst it will look for you up to the period of blanks in game week 31 would be game week 26. Brighton go to Villa, Burnley go to Palace. That's the worst it ever looks. So I'm totally still fine with Verbruggen as a goalkeeper option.
You don't want to wind the clock back, James. Let's go whack to 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024. Bring out the old Pascal Gross, 5.5 million.
That's sitting back in the league. It's been a good fantasy asset for many people.
A couple of years ago, 15 attacking returns. Year before that, 17 attacking returns. No. 150 point a season player.
No, you've got Baleba's at AFCON. Minter's obviously injured at the moment. So you got that to come back in. We don't know if they'll go in the market, and never shy to do that sort of thing. Mitoma's been out for a while, takes his goal really nicely. They've got multiple options again now. So, yeah, just better off avoiding, I think.
Okie dokie. Burnley 0, Manchester United 5.
Big chances.
On the big chances. Burnley 2, Manchester United 2.
You could have been cruel and said that Manchester United won 1-0 on own goals, could you? Which actually sums up this, because the 2 goals United concede are even freaks, in the sense that one's a cross that deflects over heaven, and Lamens is a player I've been critical of, but he's got no chance for that, and he's got no chance with Jadon Anthony's goal either. United, from what I've seen of the game, should have won this very, very comfortably.
Monster XG, 2.55 versus not even 0.25 for Burnley.
Yeah, and this needs monitoring as well, right? Because I think next 2, City at home, Arsenal away, bit grim. It's 2 best teams in the league. Then there's a nice little run for them between 24 and 28, I think. And game week 31, by the way, I look ahead of that now. I think I can see a lot of people captaining Bruno Fernandes away to Bournemouth. If Man City get to the Carabao Cup final, and to be honest, if Arsenal do as well, because they're scheduled to play Wolves. Rest of the fixtures aren't brilliant. That's why I keep mentioning the idea of dead ending. We'll speak about that more on the pod next week.
Are they now going to be a 4-2-3-1? It's what it looks like.
I would assume so.
Is this the future?
I would assume so. So Dorgu's played left side. Cunha's played right side with license to obviously float. And yeah, Fernandes quite clearly here has played in front of Ugarte and Casemiro. That must be the first time all 3 of those players have started a game this season, I would guess. Unless there's maybe one game where Fernandes played in the front 3 earlier in the season. So with Fernandes, it's difficult to visualize how him playing at the 10 would make him a worse option. I'm trying to think about this. How can it make him worse? Maybe a little bit less on the DEFCONs. But actually, it's not like it's DEFCON that much anyway.
Yeah, I was going to have a look and see what his DEFCON numbers have been like recently.
No, he's always kind of like in and around it. But he hasn't actually hit it that many times this season where he's been in. Just having a scan through. 4 times I think he's actually hit DEFCON. We're talking about 8 points difference here.
Well, in this game, it was only 2 DEFCONs. The game before that,
he has gone off after like an hour or so.
Yeah, so, still 2 is not huge.
It's low, but my point being is he wasn't hitting it that much anyway.
No, it was 1 in 3 probably, you'd say, is what he was
If I said to you, Bruno Fernandes wasn't going to hit DEFCON again next season, does that change for you?
Next season? Rest of the season, you mean?
Rest of this season, yeah.
Nah, I'd still actually be looking to getting him in.
Yeah, it's very much planned.
Not immediate, but 24.
He's planning my thoughts for game at 24. And I think even more so at the moment, because let's remember there's more to bring into this, right? Got Bumo and Diallo to come back. Right? So the presumption on this would be
Mount got some minutes.
Bumo comes back, plays on the right. Diallo comes back and plays where?
On the bench.
Cunha moves to the other side?
Yep, off the left.
Also, point being here as well, could this be that actually Fernandes doesn't stay at 10?
False 9?
No, maybe it does go back to like an 8. 6-8 hybrid almost. Because once they're all back, where do you fit them all in? Like Sesko has taken the 2 goals here absolutely brilliantly. I think he really needs monitoring. I mean that genuinely. He wouldn't be an out for me now, but he might be in a few weeks. I've got him on radar, honestly. He's taking them goals well. Could it be Sesko 9, Cunha left, Bumo 10, Diallo right, Fernandes with one of Casemiro Ugarte behind that?
Yeah, possibly.
Because if you leave Fernandes at 10, you ain't fitting it all in. And actually, the only one that's really suitable, by the way, to play off the left, really, is Cunha. Bumo and Diallo could both do the job. We have seen them do it. But I don't think it's natural. I think they both want to be off the right, really. It could be that. It's Cunha 10, and one plays left and one plays right from the other 2. Or Cunha goes 9 and Sesko comes out the team. Question marks. And we might not get all the answers because in the games coming up, City and Arsenal are tough enough. You don't set up the same way for those 2 teams as you will do for the easier fixtures or afterwards. But I tell you what I do know, wherever he plays, Bruno Fernandes will play.
That's true.
We know that.
Minutes is not a risk. Yeah.
And him getting an hour here, he's great. He's back fit. Do I feel the urge to absolutely dive into that now for Manchester City and Arsenal in the next 2? No. Take a viewpoint on this. And then land in game week 24, and I'm pretty sure by Bruno Fernandes, but it might be that I land in and we go, oh shit, they've done this. I want it to be this. But I still think either way, I will probably end up selling Cunha in 22 to most likely Enzo Fernandes, but also maybe Morgan Rogers. But I'm not against keep. I can hide him for a couple of weeks if I want to. Is it possible?
You're not buying anything Burnley though, are you?
Not buying anything Burnley. I also wouldn't buy anything United either.
Okay.
They're not great for clean sheets. For Burnley, there's the usual candidates in terms of the enablers, both even Florentino in the midfield area, although it's not hit DEFCON this one, Ogochukwu who's hit it. They're going to be stable for minutes while Josh Cullen's obviously, unfortunately, he's out for the season. Estev was back. He's hit DEFCON. If people want that, it's fine. I don't know. Even with the reliability of DEFCON, though, I don't know how you buy that over Reynaldo at this moment. Like, I've got Alderete already. I would be way more likely to just buy Reynaldo as well rather than go Estev. Yeah. Because there's way more faith in Sunderland. Good result for Burnley. And they'll probably have another couple soon. Do you know what the next 2 home games are, Suj?
Yeah.
For those who don't want to look for themselves, it's Tottenham and West Ham, just in case you didn't know.
A joy of joys. Let's talk about Newcastle 4, Leeds United 3. Thank you, Geordies, with these 2 late goals. The penalty that...
Sorry, Guimaraes, you think you got a chance of catching Leeds? Is that what you're saying?
Listen, you got to keep the faith. Every game they lose is...
That's not what you said yesterday about keeping faith.
Yeah. No, the chances are very, very, very slim. But I'm not going to want them to pick up points. If they lose points, the better. And they did here, though they very nearly didn't. They very nearly picked up 3 points, James. Newcastle now, you got Harvey Barnes played out on the right. Voltemade played, no Visser, which you did talk about in your free hit potential draft. They're going to keep mixing it around up the top a little bit, aren't they, in terms of Visser probably get some minutes. You've had no Jacob Murphy in this one, no Elanga. It's going to be a bit of chop and change.
Yeah, certainly in terms of Visser, Voltemade and the other attacking
Murphy players, or whatever. Kind of makes it, kind of almost makes Guimaraes more appealing because of the price that he's at and the consistency he gives you, and you don't have to then worry about the headache of will he, won't he return. Again,
with Newcastle, you need an awareness of what else is happening outside of just the league games, right? They've got these League Cup semi-finals with Manchester City. They've also got 2 Champions League games against PSV and obviously PSG as well. The week where they've got PSG is Villa at home 3 days before and Liverpool away 3 days afterwards. That's a really rough week that they've got in between 23 and 24. Up to then, though, should largely be all right for a few players. That includes, despite an absolutely shocking first half here, Malik Chow. So Malik Chow made a cock-up on the first goal, gave away a penalty for the second goal, got booked, taken off at half-time, bit of a shit show. And he's actually been great for Newcastle. But he's safe as ours is for minutes moving forward because Fabian Schär's picked up a bad ankle injury. Dan Burn is still a few weeks away, according to Eddie Howe. I think I've seen that this morning. And I don't think it would have been Burn and Botman at centre-back anyway, unless it has to be, because of the unnaturalness for either of those two to play right-sided centre-back. They could do it. I think Botman you could probably get away with as right-sided centre-back. Point being, Malik Chow, I think, will keep playing. Hall and Livramento, you can expect potential to get managed. Lewis Miley's particularly has obviously shown that he can play fullback now for Newcastle. Guimaraes, somewhere will get a rest. I'm opening this tomorrow. Because I definitely don't want to sell him before Wolves away. And I wouldn't want to sell him before Aston Villa in game week 23 either, because ultimately it's a home game. And his returns in home games, he's been ridiculous. I don't know the exact spread of it, but he's on 117 points now. And I'm pretty sure he's well over 80 points in home games.
He's 117 is total. I don't know what would work out home games. We're talking about Leeds, Palace, double digits, Burnley, double digits, Tottenham 7 points, Man City, double digits, Fulham, double digits, Forest, double digits. You're talking, these are the home games that I've just mentioned there. 14, 10, 10, 7, 10, 10, 11. That's, yeah.
You missed out the 2 against Chelsea. That's the only blank in there.
Well, yeah, I was only counting the hauls there, James.
No, but those are the returns.
Yeah, it's a monster. It's crazy.
There's a blank against Chelsea in there. However, he's on the chopping block for me, game week 24. Because that then gets rough for them. I feel like I look at Liverpool way and see that as a potential like move on to go and attack back into Rodgers or Enzo Fernandez. Almost like I buy one of them in 22 and I buy the other one in 24. That's kind of the thought process at the moment. And I think...
What week did you say, sorry?
22, 24 potential. I wouldn't sell Guimaraes in 22, obviously not. I'd sell him maybe in 24.
You're talking about Villa, Brentford at home. It's not that bad. Everton at home.
It's not that bad. They're fifth. So
United at home. Sunderland at home. Bournemouth at home. Brighton at home. West Ham at home. Those home fixtures, they're not playing anyone who is likely to finish in the top 4 other than United, who might have a chance. And Villa, obviously.
Yep. Cool. I get that. I've said that. But I think point being is it opens up for a few other people that I want to attack. Rather than just, this guy's go. The reality is as well, it is a massive overperformance, right? It is. Let's be real and honest about this, okay? He's on 13 attacking returns from an XGI of 6.5. He's ended up taking the penalty at the weekend. He's taking the penalty, at the weekend on Wednesday night. He's taking the penalty because 2 other players are off the pitch.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I've got a lucky return there that I shouldn't have been expecting. And I think he's an absolutely magnificent footballer, by the way. But if you compare that with what we've just... Oh, look, Enzo Fernandez. How good is that on the data? Guimaraes has massively outperformed it. He's done really well for me. I wanted him specifically for home games. There are other players that are coming into better fixtures. I may move it on. I may end up in a position, Suj, where it's like, no, actually, it's going to be someone else, possibly. My point being here is I wouldn't chase it. Now, I'm saying that again because I said that to try and jinx Thiago last week, and that really worked really nicely for me. So now hopefully I've jinxed Guimaraes, and he does really well at Wolves as well.
Well, you got a bit of a wait before that game.
All right, point being here is we had discussion about Thiago last week, kind of, and then he's gone off again. You don't own him. You don't own Guimaraes. Are you thinking of buying him?
He's not top of the list. I'd rather go like an Enzo is more of a priority. I'd only be getting Guimaraes right now if I was wildcarding. Like, I'm not taking a hit to get him in. So the answer is no, really, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't be investing in any Newcastle, no, at this moment. I know you'll see the Wolves fixture. I think that's great. I'd leave it now.
Mm-hmm.
Really would, because I think almost like the Tottenham analogy, I think it'll go forward a few weeks and you'll be thinking more about selling rather than buying. There's nothing there that's reliable enough in minutes to think, it's short term. Because I promise you, if Guimaraes starts, it will definitely start against Man City. So if he starts against Bournemouth on Saturday, I'm actually nervous whether he starts against Wolves.
Yeah.
I might even make that call to go, thank you very much, enough. I don't think you're going to start. That's a possibility, so I wouldn't chase that. Leeds, unlucky. They should. It's obviously their first defeat in a while. They were obviously 10 minutes away from winning the football match, and they've acquitted themselves very well. I think people now realise they're going to be in a game against this lot. Brandon Aronson, he's on a bit of a streak. 5.4. Goal, 2 goals here. Goal against Manchester United before. There was the assist for Calvert-Lewin at Sunderland. It was an assist against Crystal Palace. He's on a good little run. He's playing a more advanced role, and I think it wants monitoring. He's not the only Leeds player of interest, though, right? Because you can still go and have Anton Stack at cheaper as well. Stack off it on DEFCON in this one, 7-pointer, but previously 4.5, 4.8. Right? We've done this before. He's very reasonable at 4.9. Aronson, I just think wants monitoring because he looks a different player to me. I've never rated him. And I said when they beat you 2-1, it was the first time I'd ever watched him and been impressed with him. Like his ball carrying was much better. Now, difference now is if you look at the goals he's scoring here, I don't even think he takes them shots on previously. He's got like a real self-confidence thing happening. And he's pretty much played nearly kind of up front with Calvert-Lewin in this particular one. I just think he wants monitoring. Not one I'd run to, but I don't think we should have a conversation about Tavernier at the moment and not include him in the conversation because he's having a good run of form. Next 2 home games, Fulham, Nottingham Forest. I do think largely, though, the fixtures are quite bleak. So I'd probably overlook it. Good news for them in terms of Joe Rodon being back as well. One of the concerns about Joe Rodon, though, is I don't think the goalkeeper's great.
Right.
And I owned him for kind of the first half of, well, let's say the first quarter of this season so far. You never felt like you were going to get anything off him. And I think he should do better on a couple of the goals. I felt like in the Cunha incident, he was slow to come out off his line and then hesitated. And there was another moment in that game where he was really slow and hesitant to come off his line as well. So I think that means they're always liable to be conceding odd goals. But Rodon back, that's reasonable. Goodmanson is obviously really cheap as well. He's 3.8. That's competitive with Reynildo. And he'll chip in with the odd little bits for DEFCON as well. So I think Goodmanson, Rodon, Stack, Aronson could all be considered as, I wouldn't say regular, I will always start them options. I suppose if you want to go Dominic Calvert-Lewin, that probably is how you're viewing it now, I guess.
Yeah, I'd still rather, if I was looking at Calvert-Lewin, I'd go cheaper to Kroupi Jr. and spread the money elsewhere. That would be my thought on it. He's been consistent, but I suppose we've been scarred in the past with what has happened with him. So I think people just don't expect this run to keep going on forever and ever. But
I tell you what, I'd be pissed with the fact that he got a goal and assist and was sixth on the BPS.
Oof. Yeah. Though that is a game with 7 goals in it, James.
Yeah, it's a game with 7 goals, but you've also got Gruev, who's got an assist, has ended up above him.
Okay, yeah. All right, let's talk about the last game, James. The highlight fixture of the match week, the star-studded fixture for Sky Sports to be marketing and advertising. Arsenal hosting last season's champions, Liverpool. Big name signings in the summer. 0-0. Not even either of them getting to like half an XG. I think Arsenal just managed to scrape over half. One big chance in the entire game. It was a shit night in terms of storm. What's the name of that storm? I don't even know what storm there was, but I did hear there was a name of a storm in North London.
I don't know, but I probably dated her once. Let's be honest about this, Suj. We both thought Arsenal would muller Liverpool.
Batter them, yeah.
And in the opening 15 minutes, I thought, I'm right here. They are. It just felt like a matter of time, actually, in that opening period. And the game seemed to change off the incident with Saliba and Raya, where Saliba ends up passing it back, Raya's coming out. There's obviously a miscommunication, and it ends up with Conor Bradley, really great effort, obviously hitting the crossbar. I just felt everything after that, mood-wise, changed. Liverpool seemed to sense that, we can hurt these. And also, it came from mistake. I think it almost made a bit more of a nervous energy around the crowd. I think there was real expectation going into the game. City had gone 3 games without winning, right? Arsenal, it felt like, had near finished this off. And I think they got caught between an expectation and a will, and actually also hit a point in the game where, okay, it's still one of the toughest home games you got left, whatever you think of Liverpool this season. It's not a worse result. Don't lose it.
Considering they knew that City drew yesterday as well, the day before.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if the game would have played out differently if either Man City had won or if Man City had played afterwards, right? If Arsenal was Wednesday night and Man City was on Thursday, whether that would have changed anything. It might have. I think we have to give Liverpool credit. It's the second time I've seen them set up with this way and have absolutely amazing success defensively. Not quite to the extent that I'd seen previously because of the first sort of quarter of an hour or so. But once they'd weathered it, they were largely quite comfortable. And the game I'm referring to is the game they won at Manchester City last season when they won 2-0. And they played without a centre forward and they played with 2 10s. And that's essentially what they've done here with Szoboszlai and Wirtz operating half spaces right and left respectively and trying to overload in that area. And they managed to get numbers in there, which the longer the game went on and as fatigue began to hit in a little bit for Arsenal, the easier that got. Plus, Arsenal, in terms of their own ability to keep the ball, I just think they were off it last night. It just weren't at their best. And I don't want to say Liverpool were untroubled, but they defended quite well. And I think the game was largely played out in a manner of security first for both teams. It was similar to the game at Anfield. Very similar. Which was won by this brilliant free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai, who I want to say had 5 or 6 shots in the second half. It was a point in the second half where every shot that was happening was him, but it was all long distance stuff, by the way.
Yep.
He's a player I'd have on radar for a bit.
No, Rare didn't make a save in the whole game, James.
Nah. But it was very similar to the game at Anfield. So the top 5 games to have the lowest XG this season, the Arsenal-Liverpool fixtures are both home and away at Anfield and at the Emirates are in the top 5. I don't know if this is a trend for the biggest games as well at the moment.
Sometimes we've had these like 4-4s and 4-3s and that as well. But so
I also think in terms of context of season, the draw is okay for both teams.
Yeah.
Arsenal didn't lose anything this week. They're in a better position now than they were in, when they lost at Villa, for example. It now looks even better for them again. And for Liverpool, okay, a few indifferent results, such as drawing at home to Leeds and stuff as well. But they put themselves really in a position now where they're clear of Chelsea and Manchester United, for example, and will feel confident from here that they really should finish at worst top 5, right? You're 3 points clear ahead of Manchester United, 4 ahead of Chelsea, 3 ahead of Newcastle. Yes, I realise it's 2 clear of Brentford as well. But I think in the context of what's been going on over this period as well, and the closeness of fixtures, I don't think it helped the game. It was a fine result for Liverpool as well. Notable things on this as well: low number of DEFCONs. If you just said to me before the game will end 0-0, I'd have thought, there's a couple in there, at least for one side. Both centre backs are lit DEFCON. The only 2 players with DEFCON, Zubimendi and Konate. And in terms of the centre back, the other 3 centre backs are nowhere near. Gabriel 6, Saliba 5, Virgil van Dijk 3. 3 DEFCONs away to Arsenal.
That's crazy.
Tells you a lot about the match. I also think, and I don't want to dig it out, but I've seen enough now, I think, to say I don't think Gyökeres is it. I think they're a better team without him against the better opponents. I think there is certainly a case in fixtures more like, say, like Nottingham Forest, where it might end up that Forest get quite low and you're playing against Murillo and Milenkovic. I think Gyökeres for that is fine. When I think back about the way Mourinho completely manipulated my team, and I know we're not one of the better teams, but we didn't. Let's say we left ourselves wide open in terms of central areas for Eze, etc. And in terms of prestige of fixture, Arsenal were always going to play that game at a high tempo. There are definitely games where I think Havertz is getting back fit And I think the long-term thinking from many Arsenal fans in the summer was that Havertz would still play the biggest of games. And I think that's something we can probably expect in the second half of the season. I thought Mourinho would start this rather than Gyökeres for that very reason, that Havertz is not quite ready yet. And I think Gyökeres against this sort of opponent, he's not right. He doesn't look of the I don't want to be horrible about it. He doesn't look like to the level of the rest of Arsenal's team.
He has a reputation, or had a reputation in Portugal, as a bit of a flat track bully. So when it's an easy opposition, he can just like bulldoze his way through. Maybe not the finesse. I think his skill level.
A lot of the things I heard was that one of his strengths was running in behind into the channels and stuff, and he'd give Arsenal more ability to go direct. I don't really see it. What I do see is that he's quite good at occupying space and opening it up for others. That's what I'm saying. So like when you're playing against like people like Murillo and Milenkovic, and they're quite deep and low, you might find that opens up space better for other people. So almost as a consequence of him not being involved, it might be helpful for others. I don't think in these sort of fixtures, I don't think it's right. And I think Havertz you'd be surprised, I think, how much Havertz plays in the second half of this season.
And even Jesus as well. Obviously, they do like Jesus. The only thing, a few of my Arsenal friends say, like, he's such a good player at everything.
Jesus, by the way, was no better when he came on.
Apart from goal scoring, they're like all this link-up play, all of everything else he brings to the team, apart from goal scoring, is really solid.
But his link was no better, by the way, than Gyökeres. I didn't think personally. Do you think Arteta feels any pressure of playing Gyökeres?
No,
I don't think we can know till Havertz is fully fit.
No. Look, they just spend a lot of money on Eze, and he doesn't feel any pressure to play him. I don't think he feels any pressure. No, that's true. He's a man who beats his own drum, Mikel Arteta.
That's true, but I do think with Odegaard's, it was a shit game. And the major talking point out of it was Martinelli pushing Conor Bradley. Felt like the biggest talking point out of it. I think some of the reactions.
There's a question.
Go on, ask it.
Well, yeah, they've said, should Liverpool players have punched Martinelli, though?
No.
We don't condone violence.
I think Martinelli's an idiot. Right? Shouldn't be doing it. I think it's read the room. Is most commonly we'd say is ball's going over Bradley's head and he starts limping before he kicks the ball out. It's like, oh, something's gone wrong with no one near you. Okay? We've seen a lot of incidents recently where players, come into a physical contact, I'll stay down, I'll try and get the game stopped. You would like to think that most people realised in that moment this wasn't what had happened. And he's like, he's in trouble. And oh my God, I'm going to hit the ground. Let me get the ball out of play. Right? And it's not like he's doing it to even stop the game. It's like, if you don't kick it out, Martinelli's going to get it, right? Martinelli, for whatever reason, doesn't read the room, tries to, like, at first he's got like, drops the ball on him. Then he's like got his knee in his back, like he's trying to shove him off. That's obviously not working. And then he tries to pick him up. What I never understand with this, and I promise this has never worked, this idea of picking someone up and trying to put them off the pitch has never, ever, ever sped up the game. Because the opposition are going to go, don't touch my player. And then you get this pushing and shoving match, right? It's never worked where, let's get him off the pitch and suddenly the game's going to continue. It's not. It's unfortunate. And I get Martinelli wants to get the game going and stuff. It's having the opposite effect for you, mate. You've actually ended up wasting more time. So I do think that he obviously didn't have an awareness of the situation. I hope that's the case anyway.
He's apologised.
He has apologised for
it. He said, look, I've messaged him and I've apologised. I didn't realise he was injured. All right, let's move it on. It's in the heat of the moment.
I'm kind of in agreement with that. The who said on commentary is I was a bit over the top. I felt it was out of order, but I don't think it was done from a position of malice, or at least I like to hope that it wasn't. And I think he probably had the view. Marcelli must have done it on the viewpoint of thinking that he thought Bradley was trying to cheat, if you will, exactly. So, yeah, if he generally thought that he was he cannot believe that he was generally injured and picked him up. Because I think actually as well, most players tend to realise when a fellow pro is hurt and will themselves want to stop the game under most circumstances like that. Touchwood for Bradley, it's not too bad, but you fear the worst that it's a bad one.
Should we do a few questions that we've had in on social, James, before we wrap this episode? Okay.
Oh, he's muted.
Excuse me for sneezing.
Sneezing, yeah, very good.
We have a question coming from Nico the Icon, at Nico_Semedo. Is Igor Thiago essential?
Nico,
there are also
if you weren't so good at your job, I'd get a new editor, you piss taker.
There's also a few other questions. People saying, did Suj listen to James and not buy Thiago? I think a few people were talking about you talking me out of it. It's podcast, not your fault.
The podcast ends with play it your way.
Exactly that.
I can tell you exactly what I said earlier, Suj. If I'd have gone into this game week without owning Igor Thiago, I would not have bought him.
Luke wants to know who the best keeper in the mid to long term is, and are they worth transfers? I'm sitting on Sanchez. Like, their fixtures are good. I just don't know how they'll deliver under Leroy Rosenior.
Yeah, the only thing I would say on Sanchez, excuse me, I'm sure he'll probably play, but as we mentioned on Clash of Correspondence, Pender's average positioning, who is a goalkeeper on loan from Chelsea at Strasbourg, is wildly high. Like, he really gets involved outside the box in terms of playing out. They'll use him a lot. They'll go to him. Then
Sanchez can't do that.
It might be a problem. What Sanchez, I think, by the way, I think he's actually had a very good season, to the extent we've stopped saying, oh, Chelsea need a better goalkeeper. That's the best compliment you could play to him. We haven't really said that for a while. For a lot of the last season, we said they're going to need to upgrade that. We haven't this year. And actually, the change in style to the league, I think, has really helped, because he's near on the best in the league. Probably, I would say probably him and Raya in terms of coming and actually claiming the ball, whether it's from crosses or particularly on long throws and stuff. And I know they conceded a couple against Bournemouth from long throws, but they were in the near post zone that it's flicked on. He can do nothing about it personally. So the element of the change to the league, I think, has helped a little bit. You are right, though. I don't think being 25 yards from goal is necessarily going to be suitable for him. So I don't think he'd come out the team, because I don't think that's right for Jorgensen either, by the way, necessarily. But if they recalled Penders, I would have real concern about that potentially. That would maybe change. I don't anticipate that they're going to do that. I'm sure you'll get enough information on Sanchez from what you see against Arsenal in the League Cup next week. And if you were confident after that, then yes, that's probably the answer.
Right, couple more, James. Alex Ball says, is it feasible to wildcard this early, or is it likely to ruin chip planning later in the season? Cheers, fellas. Well, thing is, when you wildcard like this, you want to do it early to capture value on players. If you kind of haven't pulled the trigger, it's still not too late. I haven't ruled it out, but I would say that I'm definitely doing it for my mental sanity rather than my FPL team, if that makes sense. I'm not strategically looking at it and saying, right, which players have got good fixtures? Who do I want to target? What's my strategy going forward for the next 10 weeks? I'm looking at it saying, I don't like any of these idiots in my team. I want to get rid of them, and I just want to buy consistent players. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good enough reason to wildcard if you want to be really chasing points and rank. So yeah, we'll obviously talk about chips next week. What are your thoughts, James?
Can you, is the question. Of course you can. I would only consider wildcarding at the moment personally if my team was an absolute fire pit of a state. And I don't think that yours is, Suj. Alex's might be. I don't know. But I think at this moment there is information to be learned, and at the moment you'll be better off holding tight. You will. If you wildcard now, there are change of fixtures. We've mentioned a few teams, Chelsea, Villa, Palace, stuff like that. Manchester United's coming back around. You will find some gains. No doubt about that. Well, actually, there is a doubt about it, because you might be coming off Arsenal and Man City assets, for example, and it might still do very, very well. No one wants to sell Arsenal assets at the moment, do they? No. I don't think so. Anyway, yes, you can do it at the moment. I would generally advise against it. I think the short-term gain might become longer-term pain is the easiest way that I could sell that at this moment. And it might not. It might be that it doesn't land in certain ways later in the season. We go, actually, yeah, it was worthwhile doing it. But I would advise against it at the moment. If someone absolutely knows that they want to do it, and the argument for it is, well, I'll make enough gain between now and game week 30 to not have to worry about the latter part of the season, and I'll survive that bit, whereas others might go into this period and end up surviving through this period, then by all means be my guest. But unless your team is an absolute shit show at the moment, I wouldn't be doing it. If my team is an absolute shit show at the moment, I'd do it.
Yep. Alrighty, last question of the show, James, goes to FPL Rhinos, and we are a little bit of a reference back to Tottenham, which you can only listen to if you're a patron, so it may not make sense to you. Are you ready for it?
From intermediate.
If your club being shit is like your wife having an affair, I should add, let me rephrase this question. If your club being totally shit is like your wife having an affair, then what is a last-minute defeat? I thought he was going to say last-minute victory in the question. Last-minute victory is a lot easier, isn't it? Come home to find all your clothes and pants ironed and laundered and nicely, neatly in your cupboard. That's a last-minute victory, surely, all day long.
No, I think the last minute defeat, because that's long term damage, right? What's going on at my football club is worse, and your football club worse than just losing one football match towards the end. Yeah. So I think conceding the last minute goal is more like she's caught that message where you've messaged her. And I don't mean her that you live with, I mean the other one. Oh. It's more you've been caught. I think it's more that way. Just for clarity, for those who don't listen on Patreon, are somewhat concerned. As far as me and Suj are aware, neither of our wives are sleeping with someone else. As far as we're aware at this moment in time.
Yes, but our football clubs definitely are cheating on us in many ways and betraying our trust. Right. That's a wrap for this episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Back at you with a whole bunch of content next week. Enjoy your FPL free weekend. Use it as an opportunity to maybe switch off a little bit. Most importantly, stay safe. Look after yourselves. And we're back at you next week. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. And as always, play it your way. Have a great weekend. Cue music, please, man child.